fifth grade. Today we're going to continue Potterwookie, and we are on chapter 10, and this chapter is called Things. Our idea to get my bike back wasn't perfect, but we really hoped it would work. I was so nervous and excited that I was buzzing. The second I stepped back into my house, however, my brain handed me a reminder. Message Rob, Harry's in the bread box. Harry! I ran to the bread box and threw it open. He wasn't there. I dashed around the kitchen, frantically throwing open cabinets and drawers. Nothing I could hear. Nothing. I could hear the TV on in the family room, and when I looked around the corner, there was my dad, sitting on his favorite chair and eating the last bite of a sandwich while watching one of his shows. There was no way my dad could have gotten bread without seeing Harry. I stepped in front of the TV. I was wondering. My dad's eyes lit up. For some reason, my dad loved it when his kids wondered. He always hoped that we were wondering about grand things like the universe or playground equipment. Of course, he was usually let down when the things we were running about weren't quite that important. So I was wondering, how was your sandwich? My dad looked pretty disappointed. He reported on his sandwich, but didn't say anything about having seen a small creature in the bread box. I asked him if there was anything besides bread in the bread box. Like bagels? I shook my head and asked him if there had been anything besides bread or bagels. He said that the only other thing in there had been one of Tuffin's stuffed animals. He added that he had taken the stuffed animal out and tossed it into Tuffin's room. That child shoves things into the most interesting places. I was too busy running to Tuffin's room to wonder about Tuffin's shoving habits. I groaned, worrying about Harry and how messy Tuffin's room was. My little brother hates when people touch his stuff. He won't even let my mom clean his room. He stacks everything he owns in piles and covers most of the piles with blankets and sheets to make it look like a mountain range. I knew that if Harry had been thrown into Tuffin's room, there was a good chance that he was now uncomfortable and disoriented. I pushed open Tuffin's door, expecting the worst. So that's what he thinks is going on in there right now. Harry wasn't lost or disoriented. He was standing on a pile of junk and doing some sort of spell. Tuffin's toys and blankets were flying around the room. I stepped in and quickly closed the door as a plastic dragon flew by me, followed by a toy Millennium Falcon. Harry was smiling and chanting something in Latin. I looked on in awe until a basketball slammed me in the face. I tumbled and fell forward, landing on Harry. Everything dropped to the ground as the two of us rolled down on one of Tuffin's junk piles. Ah! I didn't know you could do that. I'm getting stronger. This looks like Harry's getting more powers now. I brought Harry to my room and told him all about our plan. I told him about how Wilt could be by the single tree in the clearing at the Timmins Cemetery at 9 p.m. I told him how we were going to wear robes for disguises and tie a bunch of sheets together to make a long rope. I told him how when Wilt showed up, Rourke would signal with a duck call, and we would run around the tree and wrap him up so that I could take my bike back. Harry spotted a problem. If Wilt didn't bring my bike to the tree, then I still wouldn't have had it. I smiled and told Harry how seeing him fly those things around Tuffin's room had given me an idea. I didn't want to bring Harry with me, but it seemed like he was just what we needed. I explained my new idea to Harry, and he asked me all kinds of questions about Wilt. He was confused at first, then I told him that Wilt probably would have been in Slytherin or fighting with the Empire, and he seemed to understand. I explained bullies and how it was necessary for us to teach Wilt a lesson because he made everyone miserable. Harry seemed incredibly willing to help. For muggles everywhere! Harry and I talked until my mom came home and called me to come to dinner. I put Harry into my pillow and kept him hidden while I ate. For dinner, my mom had brought home tacos from a fast food place. The food was pretty good, but the conversation was painful. My mom and dad kept insisting that I include Tuffin on my team for the average chef tryouts. They kept trying to convince me that he had some really good ideas. I politely told them, no way. No thank you, please. I also tried to explain that Tuffin was too young. I thought I had them with that argument, but then Libby ruined it. Wasn't there a 5-year-old who won Average Chef once? That's younger than Tuffin. She was right, but The 5-year-old had been a super genius from New York who was raised by chefs and lived in an old restaurant that was supposedly haunted by other dead famous chefs. I tried a different argument. There's already too many people on our team. The rules say you can have up to 8 people, and I know you don't have more than 5 friends. So now he's arguing with his sister, trying to come up with reasons for why Tuffin should not be on his team. I needed a sister more noble and supportive, like Princess Leia. Livy was making things awful. I wanted to fling taco meat at her like a monkey flings its waist. I knew, however, that I needed to play it cool. There was no way I was going to include Tuffin, but if I was too mean about it, I might not be able to go out later tonight to take on Wilt. I tried to look pathetic and sad to get sympathy. These tryouts are just so important to my friends. I don't want to ruin things. I wonder if he'll get his way. My dad was falling for it. But my mom wasn't so sure. She tried one last time to guilt me into saying yes. I guess your little brother will just have to live with a broken heart then. I told her how sorry I was, but this might be okay, seeing as how sometimes life is hard, and this was probably a good lesson for Tuffin to learn. Tuffin didn't look very grateful at all. Poor Tuffin, he looks so sad. After rinsing off my plate, I went to my room. Harry was still in my pillowcase, talking to himself about casting a spell on Darth Vader. We went over the plan again and what his small role might be tonight. I shall not let my fears brown the enemy's toast. Harry was beginning to sound more and more like Dumbledore from Harry Potter. He would say wise things, but they were never quite right. There is wisdom in the sneeze of a stranger. I didn't care. I liked Harry a lot. In fact, I was beginning to hope that my closet would never open again, and that Harry might hang around for good. I glanced over at Beardy. I think he was listening to what Harry and I have been talking about. I was hoping that the smile on his face meant that he approved of our plan. Remember, Beardy's the guy in his doorknob. So that is the end of Chapter 10. Please make sure you answer your Chapter 10 questions, and then I'll be back in the next video with Chapter 11, The Graveyard. Can't wait to see what happens next. All right. Goodbye, everybody.